Hello and welcome to My Xbox and Me, episode 303. I didn't forget. Calm down, everyone. I know you're out there in the world going, why did he start there? Chill out. I am one of your hosts, MC Fixer, alongside the one and only Too Fresh Crash. Crash, how are you?
Doing good. You know, one day they're gonna figure out you do that on purpose almost every week.
What one? What part? The part where I pretend to forget the... Yeah.
Every
Maybe.
week. Sometimes,
Maybe.
you know why I know why you do it, though. I know why you do it. 'Cause sometimes you'll legitimately forget what number it is.
Yeah.
So keep it consistent. They'll never know.
They'll never know when I'm right. They'll never know when I'm wrong. You know? They'll never know when I'm right. They'll never know when I'm wrong. Fresh.
Yeah.
Episode 302 was last week.
Yeah.
We spoke about a plethora of topics.
Yeah.
And My Xbox and Me audience wasn't too pleased with me. You didn't get much heat, funny enough. But me, I got the heat. I've been called a corporate shill. I don't know what I'm talking about. How has he been in the game this long?
Shout out to the person that called you a corporate shill in the YouTube comments. We appreciate all the YouTube comments.
Hey, engagement's engagement around his parts. Just for a quick one, because I guess some people didn't like. We had a couple of conversations that were a little bit more. I don't know what the right word is for it. Just a little bit more of a debate, a bit of back and forward. We personally, at My Xbox and Me, we loved the conversation that happened. We enjoyed it. We thought it was a nice flowing conversation. No one was disrespectful to each other. And what I want to put out there to the My Xbox and Me audience is we are going to disagree on things, number one. And sometimes we will play devil's advocate just to get a good conversation flowing. Like, you don't want all of us on the podcast going, yes. I've been there. I've done that. 303 episodes of this show. Never missed a week. You think I haven't had weeks upon weeks of just yes. Like the Churchill dog. Some of you won't know that reference, but the English people will. Yes. Do you know what that is, Crash?
Absolutely not.
Go Google it. Churchill dog. Halifax is a bank. You'll know what I'm talking about then. But yeah, I thought we had a good conversation. We had some questions come in. We're going to talk about them real soon. So, if you don't know what My Xbox and Me is, it's our weekly Xbox podcast here on youtube.com/My Xbox and Me and podcast services around the internet. You can find us everywhere: iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, all of that jazz. Make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you leave a review. It helps us way more than you even imagine. And please, if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, please go and hit the sub button. It's going up slowly every week, Crash. Slowly every week. I'm seeing a 2 here, a 1 there, a 2 here, a 1 here. If you're listening to it, the listeners trance the YouTube views. Please go and hit the subscribe button. It would mean the world to us. Where do we start, Crash? Patreon producers, shout out Aaron Guard and FNH Paul. And topic of the show this week, Crash. EA Play. It was yesterday.
Yeah. It
What
was.
did you think? Overall thoughts before we jump in and break it all down. What did you think?
At first, I really enjoyed it. I'll be honest. I think they showed a small amount of games. I enjoyed what they showed for almost everything. The Battlefield stuff was cool. The dice game stuff was cool. FIFA, I don't know if it was good or bad. I'm not into FIFA.
That was pre-show.
Was FIFA only pre-show?
That was pre-show.
Oh, it was only pre-show. You're right. Yeah. I was kind of surprised it was 45 minutes. It didn't feel like 45 minutes. And then I think at the end of your reaction, you pointed out how little they showed. And I was like, they really did show a little for the amount of time they went on. Which, in part, it was enjoyable, that means. But in part, they also didn't show too much.
It was one of those ones where, watching it, I enjoyed it. Production-wise, thought it was really good. I thought they did a really good job with it on the production side of things, which is always something that I look at. I always look at production. I'm like, oh, how are you doing? How is this going to come together? I thought Xavier Woods killed it as host, did a great job. I thought the 2 pre-show hosts did a good job as well. It was just not what I was expecting, if I'm being honest, in terms of the amount of games that were going to be shown and the type of games that were going to be shown. This was their E3
Yeah.
That's what we got to take into account here, right? Like, this was their E3. They wasn't at E3. They were taking it at a different time. They were going to be July. They didn't really hype it up. So, to be fair, I guess, like, you can't really say, oh, well, they overhyped it. They didn't. I don't think they did at all. When it came to FIFA, they had already spoken about it. Madden, they had already spoken about it, both prior to this show. They came out, they did a thing on July 20th, which was my birthday. I'm now a year older, my Xbox in the audience. I'm 29.
Not quite 30 yet.
I'm almost right. Jesus!
No, next year's a leap year. You skip the 30.
I've said that I'm giving myself a 2-year bonus as well on age because of COVID.
I mean,
I lost 2 years, bro.
Okay.
You do not agree. You do not agree. You do not agree.
That's how it works.
It works however I make it work, right?
That's true. If you want, Fix, if you want to consider yourself to be 28 or 27 or whatever it is, like, you do that.
No, I'm just gonna do the thing where, like, next year is gonna be I'm celebrating not being 30. So when people are like, "Oh, how old are you?" I'm like, "Not 30, but I will actually be 30 then." I won't even be in the country, so I'm going to Japan.
Oh, for your birthday next year, nice.
I'm going to Japan, guarantee. But yeah, overall, I thought the show was good. I just felt what was shown in terms of its content was a little bit light. We're going to run through this real quickly so you guys can know what was shown at EA Play. We got the Knockout City Season 2 Fight at the Movies. It's a brand new map that looked like it was ever-changing. We got some new gear that was shown, all coming out July 27th. Have you played any more Knockout City since, like, we played it together, right?
Nope.
We didn't play together. Oh, yeah. Who did I play with? Matt P must have done. Someone. I don't know. Have you not played it anymore?
Nope. I played it once and then haven't touched it again.
Which is a weird one, because it's not like it's not a bad game. It's a good game. Yeah. It just, for some reason, it weren't for me. Like,
it doesn't have the pull. If I had a friend who constantly was playing it and kept asking me to play it, I'd 100% be down.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have the pull for me to be like, hey, do you want to play it? Or me to just jump on and play by myself.
Yes, I 100% agree. Next up, we had the EA original Lost in Random, which will be released in September 2021. We did get a exact date. Sorry, it was September 10th, 2021. EA shared a brand new look of this game. It's a mixed real-time action with turn-based. This is Zoink Games' brand new game, and it looks really interesting. If you're asking me, it actually did look really interesting. It looked like a mixture between an old school action platformer game. The best game I can sort of think about it in terms of its look was Alice's Madness Returns. If anyone remembers that EA title that came out, which I was hoping they were going to do a sequel. That's my fiance's favorite game of all time. So I was really hoping for that for her, but they didn't do it. What did you think of Lost in Random? What did you think of the look of it?
I'm actually really excited for this. I was sort of interested when they had revealed it because it was a unique art style and interesting concept, but I actually like the look of the gameplay. I like the idea behind it. I like the way they sold it. The story they set up was kind of basic, two sisters separated, evil queen, whatever. But I'm actually pretty excited for it. I feel like EA usually does with their original titles. They usually hit them out of the park for the most part, I feel like.
Fee, what else? What else came out? That's the one I'm thinking of. That's the main one, right? Child of Light. Yeah. A few others that have been relatively good. I thought it was a good showing. I thought they did a good job of showing off the gameplay mechanics and wanting you to see more in terms of like the cards and their abilities and things like that. So yeah, I definitely think I'll be giving it a shot. I did say during the reaction stream that I did over on my Twitch channel, that I wish they would put EA original games day one in EA Play. Not because I feel like EA can eat that cost, because not everyone's going to sign up to EA Play to play them anyway. It's similar knowledge to as if Game Pass, right? It's like, let's build out our version of that, which is EA Play, which is cool. And they can eat the cost on that for people that already have EA Play. And the people who don't have EA Play, they're going to see an interesting game and probably just buy it anyway. So what happens with Game Pass? So
Yeah.
I think it's something they should consider doing. Just because I'm worried about this type of game where it's like, it's going to come out, it's probably not going to do crazy numbers, and then
Yeah.
is that enough for EA to then go, oh, they didn't do well? Where if it was straight in EA Play, or Game Pass for that matter of fact, it would probably get like 1 million players, and then they'll be like, well, we didn't sell 1 million, but 1 million people played this, and then you've brought in more people into EA Play and stuff like that. I feel like you just need to add a little bit more to EA Play for people to actually give a crap about it, which I suppose in the same breath, they've added it into Game Pass, so why would they even care about building that up? There's a lot of conversations to have there.
I'll be honest, I was trying to think the whole time you were talking there for a reason to disagree with you. And I don't think I really can think of a reason to disagree with it should be on EA Play.
Money. That's
yeah,
why.
Other than money, that's literally the only reason is like money.
I'm not talking about money again on this podcast, especially when it comes to EA. I refuse. They'll come for me again. I'm not doing it. They'll come for me. They'll come for me. You corporate shell. Next up, we had Apex Legends Emergence release date announced alongside the newest Legend Seer. Apex Legends Emergence update will officially release on August 3rd, alongside Seer, the newest legend to join the battle. Like Bloodhound, Seer will be able to track enemies, yet this new character will use heartbeat sensors to indicate where enemies may be. Seer's ultimate will send out micro drones to create a sphere that will... Sphere? I think I said that correctly. That will track any enemies that pass through it. Unlike Bloodhound, Seer is a stealth-based and focused mostly on position. What did you think of the showing of the brand new character?
I liked it. I actually thought it was really cool, especially the animation they had, but I feel like most of the time they've been knocking the animation out of the park with what they do. I just, for me, as I was watching it, until they explained it, I was very confused. Like,
Lost.
What are his abilities? Because they kept throwing them out, but it looked like he was trying to kill them with him. Kill the people with the things, and so I was just confused with what was going on. But regardless of that, it was still an entertaining showing of what they did, and they obviously went over everything.
I feel like they should have shown more gameplay of the new character. Like you can give me the story-driven trailer thing that you want to give me to build out the lore of the character and all that stuff. That's cool, and I like that. But why not give us like a 2 to 3 minutes of like gameplay of him playing? I don't want like a Division or Rainbow Six type situation where it's like, hey, Bravo team, here we go, we're jumping in the Apex. Like, no, we don't want that. Yeah. But just something to show up. All we got to see was his finisher, right? In terms of gameplay.
Yeah.
So it just kind of left me wanting a little bit more in terms of like building lore and stuff like that is always cool. I get that, but I want to see how this character works so I can understand it a bit more and wrap my head around it before the new season starts.
Yeah, I know they're going to do a trailer. I think he had said it was next week.
They are.
I feel like they could have done the trailer here, or even as they're talking about some of the mechanics, like some of his abilities and stuff, like they actually show the abilities in use or something like that, just to give people more of a context clue. But it's not too far off, and I guess they might have wanted to keep the time on Apex shorter, even though I do think they could have cut out some of the talking bit and just put the trailer in instead.
I feel like you could have had both. You could have had the developer, apologies, I don't remember his name, the developer speaking about the game with gameplay over the top of that, then a transition of Xavier Woods interviewing and back and forth. Like, just give me a bit of context to what I'm seeing here so I can understand it a little bit more, is the thing that I would have liked more of. Next up, you had Codemasters. Obviously, this was a big deal because this is first time Codemasters since the acquisition are announcing a new game and obviously everything that comes along with that. This is the studio behind Formula 1, Dirt, and Project Cars, and they have revealed the brand new Grid game, Grid Legends, a new racing game that is set to arrive in 2022. The game will feature live action story that was filmed with a tech used by The Mandalorian. Sex Education's, I don't know how to say his name, Ncuti, Ncuti? Apologies for butchering your name. Will star in the story mode, and players will be placed in the driver's seat of the Grid World series as an underdog against the Raven West team. Grid Legends will feature a ton of different cars and will have everything from big rigs to supercars, and players will be able to drive around in such locations such as Monaco, London, amongst more. I liked what I saw. I remember playing Grid 1 and having a really good time with it. They had a Destruction Derby mode that I loved in Grid 1. Never played Grid 2. I'm a sucker for sports stories. I've said it time and time again. I couldn't give a crap what the sport is. Give me, and I tell you, Crash, if EA come out and tell me NHL has a story mode this year, I'm buying it. Definitely. I'm a sucker for sports stories. I don't know why, they just get me. A story of the underdog becoming... Do you know what I think it is? Because that's what I've really wanted to be in real life.
Right.
Like, in any sport. Like, I love sport, but I'm an absolute fat heifer, so I cannot play sport too much, and not to an elite level anyway. I can go out to the basketball court, shoot about 6 baskets, and go, oh, man, this is a lot of work, isn't it? Damn, I didn't realize how hard this actually is. Let me go home and play 2K. But I'm a sucker for it, and I like the introduction of the real-world story elements. I enjoyed it with Quantum Break. Obviously, this is not going to be anywhere near as in-depth as that, but I like it, and I'm for it, personally. I'm all for it. Are you into racing games at all?
I'm excited for the people that are excited.
Okay. That's fair.
I like it looked cool. I'll say it looked cool, but like of this and motorsport,
we're both into motorsport more, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not even really into that too much.
No, but Horizon's so good. Horizon's so good. They've got so much other stuff other than just go here and race. Yeah. So yeah. Yeah, bro, I've got a donation going at the moment on my Twitch stream for a steering wheel. Have you seen?
Yeah,
I've seen. I'm ready to get into these racing games.
What's up with everybody in steering wheels lately? You got a steering wheel. Wardog got a steering wheel.
I don't know. I don't know. Go on.
Like steering wheels look cool. I'm gonna be honest. Like if I were to get into racing games, I'd be like, I'd probably want a steering wheel. I think that'd be a cooler way to experience the games.
I think for me, it's a case of new racing. There's a lot of new racing games coming out, right? I think that's a genre. It's multifaceted, right? Which is that the right word? Flaccid? I feel like it's a flaccid penis.
Multi-layered.
I did. I don't know if I've said that right. I'm sorry. Anyway, I feel like there's a lot of racing games coming out, and we don't cover racing games right now on my Xbox and me, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like there's a lot of content that could be made with racing games. And I do think a steering wheel just enhances the experience. And I don't drive in real life, so I'm just like, well, why not? Give it a go. You know?
I'll be honest, probably the funnest way to play a racing game.
Probably. I haven't used a steering wheel since the N64.
Never used a steering wheel.
Oh,
bro. You got the little
Mario Kart. Oh yeah, that doesn't count. That doesn't count. But Mario Kart on a steering wheel back in the day, 64. Sat down. My mum used to be fuming because I used to pull that thing about and it left marks on the table. Oh, she wasn't happy. She wasn't happy, let me tell you. Next up, we have Battlefield 2042. The big thing they were talking about and showing here was the Portal mode, which is kind of is whatever you want it to be. Battlefield Portal is Battlefield 2042's brand new complex customs mode thing where you can literally go from Battlefield 1942 versus Battlefield 2042 versus Bad Company 2 versus Battlefield 3. They've got a bunch of classic maps that they didn't touch me because I wasn't a Bad Company or Battlefield guy like that. I don't know maps like that. Any game, actually. I'm not a guy that really gets into knowing the maps. Even right now, I know my favorite map in Apex. I don't know what it's called. I think it's Kings Canyon. Is that right?
The original one.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kings Canyon, yeah.
Hey, I'm a fucking pro
you know maps.
Here. I know maps. I know maps better than anybody. Let me tell you, anybody. But yeah, they said there's going to be 6 classic maps, 40 new weapons, 40 plus weapons, 40 plus vehicles, and a bunch of other stuff. Like they've got this thing where it's like robots versus tanks and people with knives versus 4 people with fully armored. Like it looks bonkers. If you are a Battlefield fan and you're someone who likes to play around with like different things like this seems amazing. But I just wonder how many people are actually going to use it.
it looks pretty in depth. So I actually
Yeah.
think there's a good possibility that more people will use it than you think.
Hmm.
Because I always think to Halo Forge, and Halo Forge usually gets the longest playtime aside from multiplayer.
Yeah.
Well, there's only multiplayer and Forge that really get long playtime. People don't really play campaign like that. But
Yeah.
Forge usually gets a pretty long attach rate, and people do a lot of stuff. And this does seem to be pretty in depth. They were showing how you can set behaviors and stuff like that. So I wonder if you can actually create. I had mentioned it in your chat, a BR mode out of this.
Yeah.
I wonder if it would be doable. It depends on the limits and everything.
Probably not,
Yeah,
right?
set up.
Because it's
I think, yeah.
like that. Maybe the idea of a circle that closes in, and I suppose is that what BR is? Is that what we can't BR is? Is just a circle that is closing around you? That may be possible, but I don't know. And we're talking about specifically with the limitations that are there right now, not mods and things like that, right?
Yeah.
So I can see it getting added because it's like, well, you need to then have it so the players drop out the sky from something, or they're just going to drop out the sky from plants.
You could just spawn places.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Or you've got that's what I'm saying. What makes a battle royale? Is it the circle closing in? Is it the dropping in with nothing? Is it dropping in? Like, what makes a BR?
Yeah, that's fair.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel like it's enclosing area, fight till you're the last one. I feel like
that's what BR is.
Yeah, for me. Which somebody might say, no, you gotta drop down out of a helicopter, or airplane, or whatever, or a school bus. If it's
I was about to say, how dare you disrespect the battle bus like that? How dare you? But I would never
disrespect the bus driver.
I appreciate that. You always say thank you, right?
Always say thank you. Always.
I respect you. I respect you even more knowing that you always say thank you. Thank you for saying thank you.
Thank you for thanking me for saying thank you.
So we're getting that there today, boys. But yeah, this looked interesting. I just don't. Unless I decide I'm going to become a Battlefield content creator, which this is definitely designed for them, let me tell you that right now, I don't think this appeals to me personally. Cannot wait for Battlefield 2042. I wish they kind of showed a little bit more gameplay off during this whole segment, because it was strictly Portal we were seeing.
Yeah.
Because they were like, oh, well, there's 3 different ways to play, and like, I get all that. It's just, for me, it was just a bit like, I kind of wanted to see some more of the game mode I care about, but that's not fair. I get it.
I feel like they're trying to do a showing for each game mode separately. Like we got the last showing for the main game mode. We got this one. And
tease. We got the tease one as well for the hazard. I can't remember what it's called now. But that big weather mode thing that they're doing. So
yeah.
And last but not least, that was shown at EA Play was a very short teaser for Dead Space Remake, which has now been announced for next gen and PCs. There is going to be a remake of the 2008's Dead Space, which is in development for next gen consoles and PC. And while there is no release window, EA did share a teaser that we all saw. It didn't quite get me. You know?
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't really much. It was just sort of like the game exists.
But we already knew it existed. Yeah. Unfortunately, we already knew it existed. Maybe that's. I said to Haley afterwards. I said, "Oh man, I think I'm getting old." And she was like, "Why?" And I said, "I can't fake it anymore. Like for YouTube, like, I'm seeing all these. Obviously, I'm seeing all the reaction videos go up, and I'm just like, I didn't even post anything from EA Play because nothing got me."
To be fair, also, like, you've never been the biggest person to Dead Space. Like, none of this stuff has super been in your wheelhouse. Because, like,
Resident Evil clone, mate. Resident Evil clone. Let me tell you, Crash.
You could say that.
Trigger.
But like, if this had been a Resident Evil showing,
I would have been pissed.
If you knew it was coming out,
I would have been pissed.
You would have been hyped.
I would have been pissed.
Why would you have been pissed?
If they would have done this to Resident Evil 2,
you would have been hyped.
I would have been fuming. No, if this is all they showed, if this is it.
No, you would not have been fuming.
No, I would have. You're a liar.
You're absolutely no.
After the initial, then I would have been like broke it down and thought about it and went, well, hold up. That's all you're showing? Like that's ridiculous. That's bro. Stop it. You don't agree?
That's enough for some people.
No, I'm not saying it's not
No,
enough.
I get what you're saying. You want more, but I don't think they need to show more. I think this is only just a confirmation. You know what I think it is? I think they needed to show more in general. That the fact that this is all they showed for Dead Space and everything else was lacking, it kind of hurts the Dead Space showing.
But I disagree. I don't think Battlefield Portal looked good. Grid Legends looked good. Apex, what they shown, looked good. Lost in Random looked good. Knockout City 2, if you care about that, looked good. Everything looked good. And so did Dead Space. I'm not saying like what they showed for Dead Space didn't look good, but it was just, I didn't need this tiny teaser.
Gotcha.
Like how far out is? Well, how far? Because what I would have rathered, yeah, is we already know Dead Space is happening. We already know Dead Space. Then why not? It was the same with Resident Evil 2 when they did the Capcom put out like a video of like we do it. Like they were happy that they announced we were going to do it. So then we're sitting there in anticipation of like, when are we going to see more? When are we going to see more? When are we going to see, or not even more, when are we going to see it? And then every year I was like, we're going to see Resident Evil. We're going to see Resident Evil. We're going to see Resident Evil. And then we don't see it. And I'm like, And then when it happens, it's like, oh my God. Like now with Dead Space, it's just like, okay. For me, people are excited. I'm looking forward to playing it, but I'm just saying the teaser itself wasn't enough.
I think EA might have hurt themselves by teasing that a franchise that people love is going to come back, and basically the only option of what it could have been would have been Dead Space. Like some people were throwing out crazy like throws out there to like it'll be this or that, but chances were that your best bet,
Titanfall 3 was getting thrown out there, bro. You have more chance of Simpson Hit and Run 2 getting announced that day than you were Titanfall. Let me tell you.
Yeah, that's a different conversation.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah,
bring back Simpsons Hit and Run. God damn it!
If they want,
no, do it. I don't care if they want to. Get the developers in a dungeon. Get them in a dungeon. Sit them down at their desks and make them work. Crunch until it's playable. All right, crunch. I'm joking. Crunch. I'm against crunch. Crash. We can't joke about these things anymore because like they come for me now.
You're right. The Fix said that, not me.
You funny guy. Let's jump into Fix's sack, shall we, and answer some questions from our loving audience that surely wouldn't go against us or be angry at us. Question mark. First question says, multiplayer games such as Outriders saw a huge success from launching on Game Pass. What multiplayer game that died quickly in the last 10 years do you think would have stuck around longer if it launched on Game Pass? From Alder Slayer. Titanfall 1. Guaranteed. That game was a banger.
None.
What do you mean none?
None. I don't think Game Pass as a concept would have helped Titanfall 1. I don't think it would help a multiplayer game live longer. I think it would help the initial burst of players.
That's what he said.
Oh.
Which multiplayer game saw a huge success from launching on Game Pass? What multiplayer would you...
that died quickly in the last 10 years would have stuck around longer if it was launched on Game Pass. I don't think Game Pass would help a game stick around longer.
What do you think?
Then? If that's the case, then what was the multiplayer game that Game Pass basically launched with? Well, it didn't launch with, but it came a little bit afterwards. Made by Ninja Theory.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Yes,
blood something, I think.
Yeah, Bleeding Edge.
Bleeding Edge. That would have like lasted longer if that was the case. But that
imagine
game came and went on Game Pass.
But imagine if it didn't launch in Game Pass, that game wouldn't even have lasted as long as it did.
I think it would have. I think it would have lasted the same exact amount.
Okay.
I think.
Okay, let's change the question then.
Okay.
Which game would have had a bigger success at launch, multiplayer-wise, if it launched in Game Pass?
Titanfall 2. One of the Titanfalls. I think
you
were right.
Use mine.
I think that's right. I don't think there's another answer I could give you. Like I really don't. What other multiplayer game is there that launched? Maybe I don't know. I don't think there is one that I can think of. Maybe what was Cliff Bleszinski's multiplayer game? Maybe.
That didn't even come to console in the end. But you're on about Radical Heights.
I wasn't thinking of Radical Heights. Radical Heights is as well, but it was the one, not the BR, the one that came out before that. I'm completely forgetting on the game. It was a hero shooter that he said was gonna be free to play at first, and then he was like, "We're gonna charge people $20 for it."
Yeah, I know exactly what you're thinking about. I don't know what that's called now, mate. I'm sorry. Someone's gone. That one's got dead and gone. I'm
gonna be 100% honest. I don't think being in Game Pass will make your game more of a success in any form. Like, you might have a bigger launch and that more people will play it.
But that is more successful then. That is more because if it has microtransactions, it means the opportunity then to make more money. That is a bigger success. I think what you can tell me if I'm wrong, but I think what you're saying is more the longevity argument, right? Which is like, when something launches, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to have guaranteed longevity just because it's in Game Pass.
Yeah.
Is that fair?
Yeah. No, you're fair. You're fair. That's what my mind keeps going to, even when we change the argument. Yeah.
I
don't know.
It's Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
That game would have been a brilliant game to have launched in Game Pass.
It would have helped Dead by Daylight as well.
Dead by Daylight, even though that game is going strong.
Oh, it's huge now, but like that game's
strong.
Like,
yeah.
I think you could put it for a lot of games that are big right now that Game Pass would have helped them a lot. I think Rainbow Six launched in Game Pass. I think that would have gotten a big boost in the beginning. Because if we're talking about boosts in the beginning, I think you can put most multiplayer games and say they would get a bigger boost from it. I think there are a few exceptions, ones that were guaranteed to absolutely blow people away, like a Call of Duty being on Game Pass, like doesn't really help it in the grand scheme of things because Call of Duty's still gonna sell crazy and get crazy numbers.
Ghost Recon Breakpoint comes to mind.
Yeah,
that's not that multiplayer in terms of its campaign, not like a versus multiplayer. But yeah, it's a hard question. It's a hard question because you just don't know, right? I feel like every game would do better on launch, and longevity wise, it's one of those ones. I don't know if you can really. To me, another Payday 2. Like when the new Payday comes out, I feel like Payday should be going to Xbox and be like, please let us in Game Pass. Even though we know that game would sell ridiculously well, I think the longevity of it, maybe people would want to stick around and play it more if it's in Game Pass, right? I think. But maybe I'm wrong. I
think for a case like that, can't you just make the same argument for putting it into Game Pass later? When the community starts dying down, you put it into Game Pass to get new players in?
100%.
So,
yeah.
Multiplayer games are tricky ones in general, I feel like.
Yeah, no, 100%. Next question from Elder Slayer as well. He says, piggybacking off of last week's episode about the games being art. I ask, how far does it go? Some games can be seen as an art form, but I would say all games are. Sorry, I missed that part, but I wouldn't say all games are. And as an industry, games are nothing like art. I also disagree that games are made for the artist. They are 99% made for the players. From Elder Slayer. Okay.
Disagree.
Go on.
First point, games are nothing like art. I disagree with that fundamentally because games take a whole bunch of art, multiple types of art to make up one thing. Sure, you could say, oh, the coding aspect of it isn't art. That would be fair. Like, sure, I don't know how many coders view what they do as art. There's probably some coders like, I make art every time I type.
Yeah.
But most people would probably say, okay, that's not art. But the art itself is art. You have concept art. You have the 3D modeling. You have the sound effects. Every single sound effect is an art form. So, how do you get that sound to sound correctly?
So is it individually, each piece is art, but when put together and given to a player, it no longer becomes art? Asking the question, I don't know the answer.
Yeah. For me, I view it like, I think if there is a director at the head of it, with a Souls franchise, you have Miyazaki.
Yep.
If you look at God of War, you have Cory Barlog, you have Kojima, you have all these people who, if you take them out of the equation, the game ends up changing in some sort of way because in part it is their vision.
Yep.
And the art ends up the way it is, the sound design, all that stuff ends up through his guidance, not necessarily his hand doing it. And I don't want to give the people too much credit, because it very much so is on the shoulders of the people who create the individual pieces, absolutely.
Yep.
But there is some sort of artistry, I would say, to leading a whole project like that. And I think some people misconstrued, because I saw a whole lot of people mentioning like EA and like bigger developers and stuff like that. I didn't mean the developer at large. I didn't even necessarily mean, if I'm talking about artistry, I'm not talking about Kojima Productions as a whole, but more so Kojima's vision for the game. It's the individual's vision for the game when I talk about stuff like that.
You didn't even turn your phone off during the podcast? This is a professional establishment around here. You are disrespecting my artistry as a podcaster.
No, you mistook that. That was my timer. That my time for speaking is over.
Oh, perfect. Yeah. Thank you.
No
thank
problem.
you. Thank you. I also disagree that games are made for the artist. They are 99% made for the player.
I think they're made with the player in mind.
I think, yeah. I mean, I don't want to be rude. I don't want to be mean to like Kojima, but like I love Kojima. I love a lot of Kojima's games, but Death Stranding we could talk about as a game that was made for him. It doesn't seem like it's not. I don't think it's. Don't get me wrong. There are people that enjoy the game and love the game and stuff like that, right? But he wanted to make a game about a postman. That's what. Like, I don't think you go to a drawing board and go, "Hey, what's fun for players? Being a postman." Like, unless you're playing Postman Simulator, like, what are you up to? That should be a game if it's not one, by the way. And I want money for it.
And it's not to disagree completely with what you're saying, Alder.
No, I agree.
I do agree with it that everything you said does fit some people. But I think if you put everything in a box, it's unfair. Because I think the gaming industry kind of mimics the music industry in a lot of times, where like you do have creative people in situations where they do have higher ups that sort of dictate what they have to do. And then my question would be, is a music art if there's a higher up at a music label that's sort of like, this is the song you have to make, this is how you have to make it, this is the beat you're going to use, this is the hook you're going to use, and etc. At the end of the day, does that artist still make art or is it not? And I'm not saying they do, because you can make the argument that they don't.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree. Moving on to the next question, we've got, hey guys, just wondering what your thoughts are on Phil Spencer saying old games doing well on Game Pass incentivizes reboots. For me, a Banjo-Kazooie reboot in the same vein to a Ratchet & Clank seems like a no-brainer. What do you think? Thanks, Jack. That's a great question. I'll be honest. I've never cared for Banjo-Kazooie. It's not been a game that I've ever cared for. Like, it's not... I understand that it obviously has its history, and there are a lot of people that care about it and things like that. But I've never cared about Banjo-Kazooie. So it's hard for me to say that I see it in the same vein as Ratchet & Clank, which Ratchet & Clank that I have played, the new one, and beat to finish, is one of the best games this year by none. Like, it is a fantastic experience. Don't get me started with the SSD and the portal pulling and all that stuff, which I think was kind of overhyped, if I'm being totally honest. But the game, looking at its beauty, looking at the mechanics of it, looking at the gameplay, looking at its story, looking at the length of it, it was amazing. To me, it was amazing. And they would need to change Banjo-Kazooie, like, a lot for it to get to the level of what Ratchet is at right now, if I'm being totally honest.
Yeah, I also, I mimic your sentiments, and they're cemented to me because one time on Twitter, I picked a beef with some Banjo-Kazooie fans. So I had put out a tweet that he'll never come to Smash and who would want to play him in Smash. And it was a trolly tweet. It wasn't a serious tweet at all, right? And then like a year later, he gets announced, and I have people coming for me on a year-old tweet that they had to go searching to find. In my headcanon for the situation is they saved it. They saved the tweet. They went along their days, fanboying, simping over Banjo-Kazooie, and then it gets announced. They're like, I'm going to show him. It came out. I'm going to get him. Man, people are weirdos. People who do that, like, seriously, like, people are weird. They're weird people. Yeah,
go on.
I trolled it. I kind of deserved it. I won't be honest.
Yeah, of course. I don't know. I would rather see Xbox build up their own Like, I'm not saying Banjo's not their own, because obviously he is, but I'd like to see a game in the Ratchet and Clank, like, that type of formula. I'd love to see that with the same level of polish in which Insomniac make, and they are some of the best developers in the world. But I don't think Banjo is that.
Yeah, I mean, it's been so, like, the thing with Ratchet and Clank is Ratchet and Clank has always, they've been constantly making Ratchet and Clanks, so it's not as big of a time disparity between Ratchet and Clanks. So you say a reboot, and a reboot came after a previous game. It was already pretty modern, right?
Yeah.
I feel like Banjo-Kazooie needs to go over a deeper remake.
It needs to, full pull it apart. Here's the character, and who is this character to us now? In its shell, it's not even the same Banjo-Kazooie. It's like God of War in a way, like that.
Yeah.
And like that's the type of work that it needs to be done for Banjo, in my opinion.
Yeah, and to play a little bit of devil's advocate with Phil Spencer's statement, Phil could just be wanting you to play some old games on Game Pass and want to add value to Game Pass. Just to put that out there, that statement could mean absolutely nothing.
Or everything, Crash. Or everything.
It could mean everything. So if you want one of your games to come back as a reboot, do nothing but play that game. If there are multiple copies of that game, play them. Just keep replaying them. It'll happen.
Keep buying Banjo if you want him to come back.
Keep buying Banjo.
Next up, last question for Fix's Sack this week says, "Hey guys, thanks for taking my thanks for taking my last question for the podcast. I'd like to get your take on this. To summarize, a Twitter thread, there was a discussion about the $300 all digital PS5 versus the $400 disc PS5. To the point, it is worth the extra $100 to buy a disc version, because over the console's lifespan, you will save more than $100 with retail / in disc games prices, the ability to resell discs / buy used copies, etc. It also pointed out that buying a digital PS5 gives Sony the signal we are okay with discless consoles, and the PlayStation Store becomes the only storefront you can buy games. To spin this for Xbox, I was about to say, Will, we was about to have a problem. Let me tell you, this is my Xbox and me. Matt P is not here, Will. All right. To spin this for Xbox, what do you think about the $300 Series S versus the $500 Series X? The difference, they are very different consoles compared to the PS5 model in terms of the specs. That said, is it worth buying a Series X because you save $200 over the lifetime of the console? Also, do you agree that buying digital consoles can have a negative impact, telling Microsoft we are okay with digital only? I'm truly debating this. Thanks as always, Will. Will, number one, I'm sorry we only just got to this question, and I'm sure you've already bought your Series X or S, so anything that we say is not really going to help this conversation, but I thought it was a good question anyway, so I apologise for that. We are on two different spectrums, me and Kresh, on this, I believe. So, I am somebody that I cannot buy the weaker thing out there. I can't do it. Other than Apple products. Apple products are the only ones that I just don't care. Because, whatever. But when it comes to consoles, I cannot have the weaker thing. That being said, I sit here in my position of privilege, where, let me put this out front, I always do because I like to. I get my games for free. I got my Xbox for free. I did also buy a Series X as well, though, so just putting that out there. But yes, for me, I don't think it's a smart move to buy a Series S over a Series S over a Series X if you have the choice to buy both. Number one, the storage alone. The storage alone is a big deal. 1 terabyte versus Crash 258?
Something like that. I don't know.
Okay,
I just delete games, bro.
Okay. And are you okay with being someone that just deletes games? I cannot. It frustrates the crap out of me. I can't do it. I like to be able to always get to my games as quick as possible and play them. I don't want to be waiting around. I don't want to be like, oh, I can't be bothered. You'll get your say. Calm down, Chris. You'll get your say.
I'm just letting you go.
All right? And for me, I agree with you. As someone who, when I do have to buy games, usually sports titles, like sometimes I have to pick up Madden, or there's a couple of games the developers don't send us codes for. Like sometimes they don't want to, or they want to work with us, stuff like that. It's part of what we do, right? whenever that happens, 99% of the time, unless my brother-in-law wants to play that game specifically, I will buy it physically. Because I know I can sell it back to a CX or a game, or I can trade it, or what I usually do is I give it to my little nephews and cousins and stuff. Like, they think because of what I do, they think I'm a superstar. So the other day I went out and I gave them a copy of Dirt 5 from my, my toolbox that I got, because I got two. Yeah. I went in thinking I'm the big man, it's all sealed. I'm like, here, Charlie, you can have this. And I'm like, and they're like, oh my God, Uncle Corey, thank you. So to me, I feel like a big deal as well when I do that. But from a consumer's point of view, I think the Series X is worth the extra $200 for storage alone, plus the power of it. And I think that will show even more so as the life cycle of the Xbox Series consoles go on. Crash?
Yeah. Just to point out, I think the Series X is also worth buying if you have the money for it, obviously, for the power and for the storage, and not because you save over $200 in lifetime for me. Because I still buy games digital. I think it really comes down to, do you buy games digital or not? And I do think there is a larger implication of, obviously, as you were saying, like Microsoft controlling the storefront and the prices and all that stuff, and Sony as well, and whatever. But I don't buy and sell used games. It's not something I partake in. It cuts money out of developers' pockets. And so that's not something I do. I'm not saying people shouldn't do it. I'm not shaming anybody who does it. Yeah. Like, you do what you need to do. That's cool. That's fine. But for me, it really comes down to, I buy digital games. I don't need the disc drive. I don't think disc drives are going anywhere, even if more digital sales. Like, if you look at the consoles, the easier versions to find on both of them are the cheaper discless versions. People still want the disc versions. That's what a lot of people are waiting for. So I don't think, as of right now, I think when the industry as a whole moves more towards digital, then maybe this conversation becomes more relevant of, do people still keep buying the disc versions just to keep that alive because that's something they enjoy? But I don't think that'll really ever go anywhere, to be honest. I think disc versions maybe become more limited and maybe become harder to get, but fair. I do think they'll always be available.
Yeah, if you're someone who's like totally against digital games, and I'm not saying you are, but for the debate of this conversation, the way the question is asked to us, it seems like you're a little bit concerned, Will, about a company owning the storefront and you not being able to sort of shop around. Yeah, you should 100% go with the Series X. Like, you should be able to buy games in your local Walmart or your mum and grop shop or wherever it is you want to go. Like, you should have that luxury because that's something you care about. Me, on the other hand, I love not having to get up and put discs in. Like, that's a thing that I love. I hate having to. Right now, It Takes Two is sat on top of my Xbox. I accidentally put a piece of plastic on it the other day because I was too lazy, and I almost ruined the disc. Like, just not having it digitally is annoying to me. But I'm also not someone who cares about preserving my video game history and all of that stuff. I play games, I enjoy games, I bat, I never think about them again, unless someone wants me to re-download it. That is who I am as a gamer. So there's no wrong or right answer here. It's just the right answer for you and the way you want to buy, sell, and consume things, really, right?
Yep, I agree.
Let's jump into what's been Box Crash. Crash, what you been playing, dude?
I'll be honest, this past week, I've played nothing.
You played Dead by with me literally yesterday.
I did play Dead by, didn't I? I apologize to everybody who listens to my Xbox and me. I'm a liar. Don't take everything I've said this podcast with a grain of salt. It's probably not true. It's incorrect.
Matt P died, by the way. He's dead.
Matt P is dead. Take it with a grain of salt. You know. We played Dead by. Yeah, we played Dead by. Dead by was I enjoyed what we played of Dead by. It's fun.
Love it. I love it so, especially when you have a full squad. Full squad of 4 survivors versus one person who's the killer. So for those who don't know, my fiance's a teacher and she's off work at the moment. And she's not here, so I can talk very freely. She won't listen to this either. It's like, I don't know what she's playing at. I don't know what she's up to. But she's all like, oh, should we play games? And I'm like, hold up a minute. You never want to play games. But you get her into something. Crash.
She wants to play a game.
No, Crash, no. This morning, goes to the kitchen, cup of tea. Says to me, oh, you know that Pokemon game we were playing? I go, yeah. She goes to me, Is that like a timed free thing, or is it free for like? Do I just get to play it as much as I want?
Yeah.
I looked at her and went, "What?" She went,
Yeah,
I want."
she's in.
Dude. I said to her, "What? What do you mean?" She was like, "I said it's free to play. You can play as much as you want." She went, "Oh, I'm gonna go in the other room then. See ya." Just gone. She's just sitting in there drinking a cup of tea, playing Pokemon Unite. Where the hell's that come from? I said to her, "Oh, you're into MOBA?" She went, "No, I'm into this MOBA." I was like, "Okay, okay, my bad." But yeah,
just Smite.
She's your bestie. You introduced her to Smite.
I don't think she likes Smite.
No, me either. But yeah, we've been playing a bunch of Dead by. I've got the Resident Evil characters, obviously, since that update came out, and played the Resident Evil map a couple of times. I really enjoy the game. If you're someone that plays Dead by, please add me, XOB Fixer, on Xbox, and then you can find me on Steam, MC Fixer. I am playing it on Game Pass PC, a lot of the time, just because that game controls way better on PC, just for your skill checks and stuff like that. But yeah, really enjoying my time with it. I loving playing that game. What else have we played? I feel like we've played something else. Haven't we? So. Oh, we did. We played PUBG.
Oh, yeah, we did. Wow.
We went and played PUBG.
Yeah, we did.
We went and played PUBG the other day, which, it was an experience. Do you know what? It was a lot of fun, right?
Yeah, it was surprisingly enjoyable. I didn't think that. I remember when we were both starting to play it, you had mentioned like, Crush, I don't think either of us really want to do this. Should we do this? And I will be honest, when we were getting into it, the idea beforehand was super like, yeah, I'll download PUBG, we'll play some PUBG. And then as we got closer, like, do I really want to play PUBG?
Yeah.
But no, it was fun. I enjoyed myself. I had a really, really good time. I forgot how exhilarating PUBG can feel when you start getting kills and you're in those shoot-offs that last a long time.
Dude, I got 2 kills that I clipped. One of them with a car with no scope on it from about 200 meters away. And I shot a guy out of a car as well. And honestly, you don't get that feeling in any other game other than PUBG. I don't care. I've got good kills in Apex and I've got good kills in COD. Neither of them feel the way PUBG feels. Because you hear the and you just see the number just come kill. It's like it's madness, absolute madness. But yeah, a lot of sweaties. It's really hard to play right now. If you're not used to playing said game. But had a good time with it. Had a real good time with it. So yes, there is that. What else have we been playing? I started up GTA the other day to play the new content, but I didn't end up playing it. I played State of Decay 2 the other day.
Oh yeah,
for a little while. Enjoyed my time with it. Still not the game I want it to be. Even playing it the other day, I played for about 4 hours, and I was like, man, I'm really excited for State of Decay 3, but there's a lot they need to get right.
Yeah, I agree. I think even watching you play it, it still seems. I want them to make it a fully co-op experience where it's like, we need this much food.
Yep.
Food. We need water. We need supplies. So go off and do the thing.
They need to lean more towards in the survival element for me.
Yeah.
Needs to be a State of Decay to me should be a zombie MMO. That's what maybe not full MMO, but that's like those sort of. I want little stupid quests to do, like this person needs help building up their settlement. So can you get me this amount of wood? Can you get me gas because my car's ran out and we're doing runs and we're building up this community. And as we build it up, the zombies get harder. And that's what State of Decay should be. What it is right now is a shell of that. And it's just not... Even building things doesn't feel fun. Dropping off materials doesn't feel fun. It's not enough yet. I'm optimistic of Freedom. I'm optimistic.
I think they'll have learned their lesson here because I've heard like the new content they do and the DLC they dropped is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Compared to the original. So I'm confident they learned some lessons. It might not end up fully being the game that we want, but I feel like as long as it improves on it, that's all you can really ask for. But I do think that State of Decay 2. I haven't played the first one, so I can't speak on it. But it
Yeah.
does feel like a first step into a franchise like this. A first, like, here's the bare minimum of what you can do. You have this community you have to build up. You can go and recruit people and whatnot and build out these facilities. But I'd really love it to be more in depth, like you said. Like, here you go. You have to collect wood for this. You have to get the gas for this car. You want to recruit him. He wants you to go kill this group of zombies because they killed his loved one or
They
whatever.
killed his family. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, or their daughter's trapped in there and you find out the daughter died, but it doesn't need to, like, exactly. Exactly. That's exactly what it needs. You nailed it, Crash. You should be a game designer.
Oh, yeah.
Let's get into the news this week then, shall we, Crash? A lot of Ubisoft news to cover. So we'll get through the first story, which is Xbox Series just broke the US record in sales. Ooh. This one was written by IGN's Adam Bankhurst, friend of the show, which says, while Nintendo has extended its streak in June as the leading hardware platform in terms of unit sales to 31, Xbox Series X and S took the top spot as best-selling hardware in dollar sales in the month, alongside setting a new sales record in the US for the Xbox platform. So, as shared by NPD Group Matt Piscatella, Xbox is the best for Xbox platform since June 2011. Its performance helped June video games hardware dollars sell jump up to 112%, when compared to June 2020, which was $401 million. So, the series console's selling well, Crash.
Yeah.
We kind of already knew that, if we're being totally honest.
Absolutely. It's good to see, though, you know?
Yeah,
Get that
of course.
confirmation.
It's one of those ones, right, where it doesn't shock me, because I've always said whatever console's on the shelf is going to be the one that sells right now. Obviously, PlayStation's still selling crazy, Switch is still selling crazy. Now we've got the Steam Deck to compete with as well.
Yeah.
Like it's a crazy world out there right now. So but shout out to Xbox. Congratulations on selling as well as you are, and I hope it continues to do so, because everyone selling well is only better for said industry. Next one is from Joe Scrabbles from IGN, who says Tencent set to buy Sackboy, A Big Adventure, Sonic and Sonic Races creator Sumo Group. Sorry, it's not digital. Tencent is set to buy Sumo Group, which owns Sumo Digital, the Chinese Room, and more, in a $1.27 billion deal. As reported by GamesIndustry.biz, the Chinese entertainment giant, which already wholly owns Riot Games, 40%, Epic Games, and has backed Sumo Group, approached on a work-for-hire projects. While Sumo Studios have created their own IP over the years, the group is best known for its projects that have led to it working on major licenses of Sony's like Sackboy. Big news, Crash. Big news. Tencent, I'm scared of, if I'm being totally honest. But okay, I think I've got a little bit of a bias.
Why?
Because I don't worry about when Microsoft buy everything. I don't worry about when Apple buy everything. So Microsoft, I shouldn't say Xbox. But Tencent are a Chinese company, right?
Yeah.
So why do I care about that? Not that I care, because I don't really care. But why do I even have anything in my head that goes, oh, shouldn't do that?
Yeah.
Weird, right?
Yeah, I feel like with Tencent, they've really been villainized as well. And not to say that some of it isn't warranted or whatever, because I don't really know about Tencent, but I do see a lot of people talk very negatively about them compared to Microsoft, even though people do talk negatively about Microsoft buying studios and Disney and Apple and all these other places. So I do think part of that is just gaming culture in general talks negatively about when Tencent buys stuff. As far as I know, Tencent doesn't really meddle with stuff too much, and that could just be ignorance. That could just be I don't know. But I'm not worried about it until there's something to be worried about personally.
Yeah, I just think it's a weird bias I have in my head, though, where like, maybe it's just conditioning. I've been conditioned to be okay with American companies buy everything, but not others, which is so stupid.
Honestly, yeah, that's how it works. That's at least, you know what? You get props because you've realized it. You've seen yourself, the reflection of yourself in what you do, and you can correct it by being happy 10-cent boss won't grow.
Well, no, I think for me it's just I'd rather talk it out and say, "Oh, this is how I feel," but then try and have someone explain to me, "Oh, you feel that way because you're a biased. You've got bias against other countries. I'm not even American. I'm bloody British." But why do I have these bias? Because I was brought up on American TV, maybe? Because all my friends are American? Just weird, right? It's weird.
Yeah.
Let's get into the Ubisoft block of news, Chris, shall we? First one being Ubisoft unveils new Tom Clancy's X-Defiant, a free-to-play multiplayer shooter game. It's a 6v6 battles, which include factions from all across the Tom Clancy universe, with a beta planned for August. This one was written by Rebecca Valentine of IGN. Today, Ubisoft unveiled the next entry in the Tom Clancy universe, X-Defiant, a free-to-play 6v3 shooter featuring groups from Tom Clancy's universe. It's being developed by Ubisoft San Francisco, led by Mark Rubin as an executive producer and Jason Schroeder as a creative director. In its reveal today, we got a look at a number of things of the competitive FPS features, including a number of maps, characters, and abilities. One being more notable, which is the player has customization, which was first seen in Ghost Recon and stuff like that. There's a lot in here, Crash. There's a lot in here. What did you think of the look of the game?
It looked uninspired. I'm gonna be 100% honest. It looked sort of run-of-the-mill. There was no uniqueness to the game. It looked, you mentioned Wildlands Breakpoint. It looked like it was that mixed with Division, mixed with all these other Ubisoft titles, and they were like, let's all put it in a crock pot. What we get out is what we get out, and that's what we got. And I didn't really like the shooting mechanics looked good. They looked clean and all that, which they did mention in the video. But again, I didn't see that, and I was like, I need to play that game mechanic. They put up the shields, and I saw that, and I'm like, I don't need to do that. I've played Overwatch. I've done Reinhardt, and he's more unique than what they're showing here.
It looks uninspired.
Yeah.
It looks uninspired. It looks generic. It looks like a Tom Clancy game. And that doesn't mean I'm not going to enjoy it. Doesn't mean it's not going to be fun when I actually get to play it. But from a first impressions point of view, I'm like, what is this doing that no other shooter currently does? And it didn't look like anything.
Yeah.
It just looks like Ubisoft's attempt at a free-to-play shooter. And we knew they were going to jump into the free-to-play games. They've said that. They obviously want a piece of that market. It reminds me, it stinks and reeks of Hyperscape in a way.
Yeah.
Where I'm
I think that's actually really accurate.
This isn't going to do well.
Yeah.
I think they're going to... This is my prediction. They're going to pay a bunch of streamers to play this game at launch. Some people are going to stick with it in terms of like smaller level streamers who are going to build a community around it. It's going to last maybe a year or so, and then they're going to shut it down. That's where my head is at.
Does this affect your opinion at all on some of the other free-to-play stuff they're doing, like with Division?
No, because I like Division.
Okay.
My problem with this is I haven't played this yet as well, right? Like I could literally play this and be like, wow, this feels really good, and wow, this is actually really fun, and that could. I'm just talking specifically right now about the look of the game.
Yeah,
it doesn't when I look at it, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, this is another generic shooter.
Yeah,
that's what it is. Like, there's nothing new to it, you know.
I feel like the customization aspect kind of hurts the game as well, because I feel like if you had characters and you can build out characters, that maybe you could get people attached to the world, because I feel like that's kind of what happened with Rainbow Six, Lord Tachanka and all that. People really fell in love with the character.
Yeah.
So even for a long-term growth for this game, and I think that's what their goal is. I think that's We've talked about it before. That's what Ubisoft has been great at, is long-term growths of their games, like Rainbow Sixes. They release it in one state, and they're going to continually work on it and improve it and see it to a better audience and a better game itself. But again, like you said, how many people will stick out, and will it be enough sticking with it to warrant Ubisoft doing that? And I personally, the way I see it, I agree with you, like a year, if that.
If they're lucky, a year.
Yeah, because the game just doesn't. It looks uninspired. Especially it's launching PC only at first. And when you do that, you're competing with Valorant, you're competing with Rainbow Six, and those are both, I think, leagues ahead of that.
They look
player
better.
base. Yeah, and there's personality when you look at that. You can say, I've seen people say Valorant looks ugly, which is fair.
Yeah.
You don't like the art style and all that stuff. That's cool. But that game still oozes personality when you see those characters. When I see Ubisoft's game, I see no personality. I just see a generic shooter, which becomes the problem.
Exactly. It's one. It hurts. It hurts, but I'm willing to give it a chance because I love shooters, and let me tell you, I love free even more than I love shooters. Let me tell you that right now. Write in my Xbox Me podcast at gmail.com or join the Discord MC Fixer in the link in descriptions below. Let me know if you're interested in X the Fire. Are you seeing something that maybe we're not seeing? I'd love to know. I'd love to know. The next story I haven't got up right here, Crash, because I forgot to put it in the docket, but it's Ubisoft delays Rainbow Six Extraction and Riders Republic once again. Ubisoft has once again delayed both titles that I just mentioned, with the former moved to January 22 and the latter October 28th. It's a shame. It's a shame. I'm really interested in both these titles, in playing both of them, but again, delays are a good thing. Blah 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 blah.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you. Delays are a good thing.
You agree with the blah 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 blah. I'm just sick of saying it.
Really
bro.
well put.
I'm sick of saying it. You know.
But I do agree. Like both these games, I think had actually really interesting showings the last time they were shown.
Yeah.
That really got me excited for them to certain degrees. More so Extraction than Riders Republic, but even that piqued my interest. But ultimately, delays are good for the games.
Let's talk about something that's not been delayed real quick, shall we? And then we can probably circle back, which is Ubisoft says it's too early to say more about Beyond Good and Evil 2. Beyond Good and Evil 2 was announced 4 years ago at E3 2017. It still exists, but Ubisoft says it's too early to say anything more about it.
That game is...
That game's in the bin, mate.
Yeah, I think it'll come out. I don't think they're not going to put it out. But if you are excited for that game, I would start tempering expectations like crazy. Because I do not think that game is going to come out and be what you want it to be. I don't think it's going to come out and be what the developers want it to be. Because having nothing to show after 4 years, and I'm not saying it has to be anything super substantial, but having nothing to show, nothing to say about it, I think that speaks a problem.
Well, there was the game industry .biz piece about the troubled development of Jesus, what's it called? What's the pirate game?
Skull and Bones.
Yeah, Skull and Bones. And I feel like it's just we're in a weird Ubisoft are in a weird place right now. Number one, they've still got problematic people in their company. That's number one. That they haven't dealt with, which is obviously not a good thing. And that leaves a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths, obviously, and so it should. And number two, it's just not a good track record to have. I'm not saying delays are good, obviously, but multiple delays is where you start getting worried, at least for me. Whether they be big or small, it's like, well, you could say, in the same breath, you could say COVID has made all this that much harder as well, and of course it has. But that's what worries me, is more the multiple delays. And with Beyond Good and Evil, that scares me a lot. That scares me a lot.
Yeah. Honestly, I'd be worried about both Beyond Good and Evil and Skull and Bones. If you were excited for Skull and Bones, I don't know too many people who were excited for it. but those games were shown a long time ago and haven't really had updates since.
Yeah.
I do know Beyond Good and Evil had its community thing that it was doing updates through. I don't know if they still do those. I don't know how substantial those have been, but I'd assume if they were anything like super substantial, we'd see something from it, and we haven't really. I think there's a big difference between Extraction and Riders Republic in that we've seen those more recently. We've seen substantial gameplay from them, so I wouldn't be too worried about those. Maybe if there's another delay around the time that they're supposed to come out, maybe then you get a little bit worried. But I wouldn't be too worried about those personally.
Fair enough. Okie dokie. Well, Crush, let's plug and get ourselves out of it, dude. What you got to plug this week?
We have an iTunes. If you have
we
have an
iTunes, yeah. We good plug, Crush. We own iTunes. We own it now.
You guys have an iPhone, an iPad. Your mom has an iPhone or an iPad. Your dad has an iPhone. You know anyone with an iPhone or iPad. You see someone walking down the street with an iPhone. Take their iPhone for a second. Go to the podcast app and go ahead and rate us on iTunes. All ratings welcome. I think I haven't checked the ratings in a while, but if you rate, I'm a fan of you.
I'm checking now, Crush. Oh, okay. I played the podcast, Crash. I played the podcast.
We don't need another listen right now, Fix.
You sure? My Xbox and me. We search it. Yeah, right here. It's loading. Click that one. Damn, that's a good logo, man. That's a good logo.
Fantastic logo.
And then you go to where it says reviews right here. Yeah? It says we're sitting at a 4.8. Crash.
That's pretty
a 4.8 out of 5. 76 reviews.
If only we could get another 24.
We need 100. What should we do at 100? I was giving away a headset. I still got that headset, by the way.
We could give away that headset.
We could
figure something out.
We could figure something out. 100 reviews is what we need. Still your mum's iPhone, still your dad's iPhone, still granny's iPad. Go on, because all you need is a separate account. And literally, if you do it with your grandma's iPad, just put, stole my grandma's iPad, and put it from Nan. Sorted.
You know what you guys do the next time you guys are walking out and you guys happen to go upon an Apple store? You walk into the Apple store,
there,
all the iPhones and all the iPads, drop some reviews.
Crash. It's a good idea. I might shoot a video. I might shoot a video for the My Xbox and Me channel. I'm going to go up to the O2, I'm going to go to the Apple store, I'm going to go on every single one and drop a review. I might do it.
Do it.
If we get to 100 reviews, then I'll definitely do it. Because then there'll be 120 or something. That'd be hilarious. You can find me everywhere at MC Fixer. You can find Crash at CrashNickPlays on Twitter. My big thing is, if you're listening to this straight away as it comes out, my birthday was on Tuesday. I'm doing a humongous birthday stream. Go check out my Twitter for all the details. But I have partnered with Ubisoft, 2K, Elgato, Insert Coin, Noble Chairs, and Aorus. And I'm going to be giving away a lot of stuff. Ubisoft, we've got codes. 2K, we've got goodies. Elgato, we're giving away a Wave 3 microphone, which is the microphone that I currently use for podcasting. If you're someone who's like, I want to be a podcaster, this is the exact mic that I currently use. What else? A Stream Deck. So if you're after a Stream Deck as well, you can grab one of those. With Insert Coin, we're giving away 2 £50 codes, so you can get yourself some nice Gears of War clothing or any of the games on there that you like. With Aorus, we're giving away a 500GB SSD, one of the creme de la creme ones. Like, Crash, it's better than my one. I'm pissed.
Ooh.
I'm pissed. I said to the people at Aorus, I was like, can I not just have this one? They're like, no, it's for your giveaway. I'm like, yeah, but this is better than what I have. They're like, yeah, we're sorry.
If Haley wins this one, be suspicious, everybody. Look at his face. That's not a good face to have.
Damn. Why did I not think of that? Noble Chairs are going to be giving us a hero chair to give away. But yeah, man, lots of giveaways. Lots of big giveaways with some big companies. Be there 7 a.m. till 7 p.m. If you're not in the Twitch, I get it, but if you have a Twitch account, come and drop me a follow. Twitch.tv/MCFixer. Shout out to the Potato Squad for making it this far into the podcast. And until next time, we will love you, leave you, and see you all later. Good boys.